Welcome to Bougie and Boring, the spa business podcast that proves success doesn't have to be stressful. My name is Amanda Louisa. I'm a spa owner and a coach, and around here, bougie means high-end and well-paid. Boring means drama-free and simple. Together, that's how you build a spa that's smooth, profitable, and actually fun to run. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get right to it. Hi, welcome back to another episode. I'm Amanda, and today I want to talk to you about something that I do at the very end of every year and at the very beginning of every year. It's basically how I close out a year and then also start a brand new year fresh. So I feel like this might sound a little bit silly, but it's something I've done since 2018, and it basically helps to keep me grounded and grateful, and I just want to share it with you. I heard about it from another esthetician, and I wish I knew who, because I would totally give her the credit she deserves, but it must have been on a podcast that I was listening to, because that's honestly how I hear about most of my estheticians that I listen or that I know about. Anyways, so it's something that I do every year on the very last day that I'm in the spa of the year. So I'll, see clients or whatever I'm doing, whether it's admin or clients or whatever. If I know I'm not going to be back in the spa until the next year, then I'll start at the very back of the spa, and I will walk through the spa and I say thank you to every single room. And I make my way up to the lobby, and I stand in the middle of the lobby, and I just take a really big deep breath, and I let it out, and I just say thank you for an incredible year. And I just really try to remember that it's so much bigger than me. I might have, brought together all the pieces and the people that can make this happen, but every single thing plays its part. And that includes the space that we get to do it in. And so I just really try to be grateful for what the space has brought me that year. And I close the door and I actually will blow a kiss. And I know that's kind of silly, but it just, I love what I do. I love what I do. And I can't see myself doing anything else. And I can do it for the rest of my life. I definitely feel that way. And so I'm just so grateful by the end of the year. And so, to just say thank you to the space, because it's held so many people, clients and employees, and it's, we've cried in that space, and we've grown in that space, and gone through hard things in business and in life. And it, although the space doesn't exist without the people in it or the walls that hold it, it's really important to me to still be grounded as a leader, and to just know that, every little piece of this puzzle plays its part to make sure that it is, it is what it is. So that's one thing that I do, and I guess I'm sharing it with you in case that's something you want to start doing too. And that's how I close out my year. And then I also will, not the first day that I get back in, but I've actually already started, and I'm filming this in the middle of December, but I've already started to think about my word of the year. And the word for 2025 this year, I started the year, it was more of a phrase. It was just like, just have a baby. Because I started this year pregnant with my now 8-month-old. And, I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to have another maternity leave? Because please understand, I'm not trying to divulge too much information, but just know that although, yes, I absolutely adore my youngest, he was not planned. And so, we definitely jumped back onto that roller coaster of newborn life way faster than I probably would have intended it to happen. But you know what? The universe has other plans, and so we are just merely along for the ride. And so this year, my goal was to just have a baby. That was my only goal. My goal was to have a really healthy baby and an epidural. And you know what? I got a really healthy baby out of it. Out of it. I have an insane birth story, by the way, for my youngest. Like, I almost didn't make it to the hospital. It was insanity. In fact, I almost drove myself, which hindsight would have been such a bad idea. Such a bad idea. I didn't, anyways. Whoa, I am totally getting off topic. So all that to say, the phrase of this year was just have a baby. Now, the thing that I'm actually focused on in 2026, actually, I have Lacey to thank for this. She's one of my team members. She's an esthetician that has over 15 years of experience, and she might have 15 years of experience in skincare, but she is also a mom to 2 boys, and her boys are a little bit older than mine. So she's got mom experience more than I do. And there was something that came up for my oldest. It was like a week or 2 ago where I basically spent the whole day in multiple doctors' offices trying to figure out what was going on. He's okay now, but there might be surgery involved, and it's this whole big thing, and it's scary. And it kind of, broke me a little bit. And I kind of it wasn't like a reality check, but it was more like a regrounding of like, what are you doing, Amanda? You are just working so hard towards your business and your little boy. Obviously I would not have known anything unless a certain situation came up. Without divulging too much information, again, I was explaining what happened to my team member, and she was like, I went through something very similar with my youngest when he was that same age. And what she told me was I got full body chills when she told me, and I feel like it was so obvious and like, duh, Amanda, duh. But sometimes when you're so close to what you're doing, or when you're so close to like the work you're working on, you can't always see it. And she was like, Amanda, you are irreplaceable at home. You are irreplaceable at home, but you can hire someone to come in here and do the things that you do. You can hire someone and they can just come in and do them. You cannot do that at home. And it just made me realize, I identified so strongly as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as an esthetician. I identified so strongly for so many years. And now in the last 2 years, because my oldest is 2, I have had to really shift my identity from being an esthetician or being a business owner to being a mom. And my kids will always come first before any job, before anything, literally before anything else. And I think that is kind of like the moment that changed for me. It was during those multiple doctor's visits where I was like, I am so thankful that I have a job where I can literally just leave and be so flexible, and just like on a dime, I can go take my kid to the doctor, try and like figure out what's going on. And I did that whole day. I spent, talking to people, figuring out what's going on, cuddling my little boy, and just all this to say, I was told by Lacey, she said, you're irreplaceable at home, and now you're in a season where you need to slow down. And those 5 words just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, slow down? What? I don't slow down. I'm on cruise control at 120 miles an hour. Like, what do you mean slow down? I'm trying to figure out ways to speed up. And it just made me realize, like, yeah, I am irreplaceable. at home. And I'm not going to give up this time because I can build my career at any point in my entire life. I cannot do this again for them at their age. I'll never get a redo. That is irreplaceable. Time is my most valuable currency right now. And I think that reality check for me was really, it wasn't a hard pill to swallow. It was more like I was afraid that if I am not working in my business or on my business, that it's not going to be as successful. And I think what I've come to realize is that's actually not true, because I was looking at my numbers the other day, and we're midway through December, and we're about to do almost 75,000 better than we did last year. Now, keep in mind, I had a 4-month maternity leave this year. I had a freaking baby, and I was gone for 4 months, and we did 75K better. My goal was to just maintain. We're just in maintenance mode right now. And for me, 75K more, that's not maintenance mode, that's growth. And I did it without being present. Literally, I wasn't present physically, I wasn't present mentally, and when I came back, I was super part-time. I still consider myself part-time back because I really can only afford 5 or 6 hours a day when I do go in, and I'm only able to get into the spa 3 days a week. So it's really interesting to me. So sorry, all of this is to say, back to the podcast and the point of this story is, in 2026, I am going to slow down. I'm going to be very intentional. And so there were a couple words that came up for me. I haven't really landed on the one that I want to stick with, or not that I want to stick with it, but I might do a couple words actually. One of them I think is going to be clarity. I'm really becoming more and more clear about what I want, about how I want to spend my time, about my boundaries, about what's important to me. And then another one that came up to me was fierce. I am going to fiercely defend my time, and I'm going to do it without being like apologetic, because I think that part of business is also living your life and wanting to make sure that you enjoy the life you do live, because it's going to be really hard to go back and try to redo something. You know, if you can't enjoy this time now, like, how am I going to figure out how to enjoy it later? So I'm just really focused right now on slowing down, being very clear, and then also realizing just because I'm slowing down doesn't mean I'm not still going to be successful. And I'm figuring out what that is. I'm trying to figure out what that means, because I do have these businesses. I have 3 businesses that I am running, and I need to also honor my nuclear family. So I'm figuring out my new identity as a mom to 2 boys, and I do want more kids. So like, this is not just gonna, they're not just gonna go into, when they get to grade school and I have a little bit more time, it's not going to be, it's still going to be just as important that I spend the time with them when I do have it, and to be 100% present in the moment with them when I am spending time with them, because it's so easy to get pulled to my phone or into a meeting. And granted, yes, I do keep my phone close by to make sure that that my team always needs me. And in fact, I actually wear a watch that will notify me if somebody is calling or texting from, if it's a team member specifically, because those, I don't let those go. But if it's someone else, like, I can wait till the boys go down. You know what I mean? Like, I can it can wait. And so fierce and clear are the two things that I'm kind of leaning towards. And I know that success looks different for everyone in every season. And I think that the real challenge for me is figuring out how to just work on this new change in my life. And it's so interesting because it's something I've always wanted, is to have kids. And so now that I have them, I'm like, whoa, what do I do now? So I'm not sure if that was relatable or understandable, but if you're listening to this, I'd love for you to ask yourself, what are you going to be fiercely clear about in 2026? Do you have a word or phrase of the year? And maybe there's something that you can say that you can use to define what 2025 was for you. And, maybe that means it was better than you thought, like for me, or maybe it wasn't. Both are okay. And there's also an opportunity for you to be able to change it. If you want something different, you can absolutely have it. You just need to know what that thing is. Because if you're unsure, then how will you even know if you have it? So I hope that you had a great 2025, and I cannot wait for 2026. I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If this episode gave you something to think about, please take a minute to leave a review and share with a spa owner friend. If you're ready for more support like this, I have left the link to my free 30-minute discovery call in the show notes below. I would love to learn more about you and your spa and what it is you are trying to accomplish right now in this season of life. Until next week, peace and love, my friend. I'll talk to you later.